Humanity's story begins with Adam and Eve, living in harmony until a single act of disobedience changed everything. Cast out of Eden, they faced hardship, pain, and death, a world far from paradise. They had two sons, Cain, a farmer, and Abel, a shepherd. When both offered sacrifices, God favored Abel's, sparking jealousy in Cain. Consumed by resentment, Cain killed Abel, the first murder. God confronted Cain. "Where is your brother?" Cain's reply, "Am I my brother's keeper?" still echoes today. As punishment, Cain was cursed to wander, cut off from his family and God's presence. In his exile, a puzzling detail emerges. Cain goes to the land of Nod, east of Eden, and has a wife who bears him a son, Enoch. This raises a haunting question. If Adam, Eve, and Cain were the only people, where did Cain's wife come from? The text offers no explanation, leaving generations of readers to wonder. Some see a contradiction, others a mystery. But perhaps the answer is hidden in the text itself, waiting to be uncovered. The story of Cain's wife isn't just a biblical curiosity, it's a window into how we read ancient stories. The solution may be simpler and more profound than we think. Let's look closer at the clues the Bible gives us. The Bible introduces Cain's wife almost in passing without explanation. Genesis 4:16-17 simply states Cain lived in Nod, knew his wife, and she bore Enoch. This silence has led some to imagine other tribes or races, but the Bible insists all humanity descends from Adam and Eve. If we take Scripture as a whole, we need an answer that fits this framework. The key appears in Genesis 5:4. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Suddenly, the early world is populated by more than just a handful of people. Adam and Eve had many children, most unnamed, over centuries. Cain's wife was likely one of these daughters, or perhaps a niece. The Bible's focus is on the main storyline, not exhaustive family records. The existence of other children is stated, even if their stories aren't told. Cain wasn't alone, he was part of a growing, unnamed first generation. The answer to the mystery is right there, in the family tree. The Bible's silence isn't a contradiction, it's a narrative choice. The story moves forward, assuming the reader understands the world was filling with Adam and Eve's descendants. Ancient genealogies weren't exhaustive lists, they traced key lines of descent. Genesis follows Adam through Seth, not every child born. Cain's line is mentioned briefly, then the story shifts back to the main thread. Many individuals, especially women, are left unnamed but their existence is assumed. Other sons and daughters is a catch-all phrase, not a census. The original audience would have understood. Cain's wife was a close relative. Marrying a sister or niece wasn't shocking then. It was necessary. The confusion is modern, not ancient. Today, marrying a sibling is unthinkable, but the world of early humanity was different. Adam and Eve's children inherited a pure gene pool, free from the mutations that make close relative marriages risky today. Over generations, genetic flaws accumulated, making such unions dangerous and eventually forbidden by law. But in the beginning, it was a biological necessity to populate the earth. The laws against incest came much later, after humanity had multiplied and the risks increased. Cain's marriage to a sister wasn't sinful or strange in his time. It was the only way to fulfill God's command to be fruitful and multiply. We can't judge ancient circumstances by modern standards. The world was new and the rules were different. Cain's wife was almost certainly his sister, because she had to be. The land of Nod sounds mysterious, but in Hebrew, Nod means wandering. It wasn't a populated kingdom, it was a symbolic name for Cain's exile. Cain didn't find a wife in Nod, he took her with him. She was part of his family group, leaving with him into banishment. The story isn't about discovering a new people, but about starting a new branch of humanity in exile. Cain's city building was an attempt to defy his curse, to create stability where he was doomed to wander. The land of Nod is a poetic reflection of Cain's fate, not a geographical mystery. Understanding this removes the need for a separate race of people. The narrative remains self-contained. All humanity descends from Adam and Eve. Cain's wife was his own kin, journeying with him into the unknown. The mystery of Nod dissolves when we see its true meaning. The idea that Cain married his sister isn't a modern fix, it's ancient tradition. Jewish and early Christian scholars reading the same texts reached this conclusion. Extra-biblical writings like the Book of Jubilees even name Cain's wife as Awan, his sister. Josephus, the Jewish historian, records that Adam had many sons and daughters. These sources show the original audience saw no contradiction. For them, Cain's wife was simply one of Adam and Eve's many children. The problem is a modern one, born from our distance from the ancient world. Ancient readers filled in the gaps naturally. The story was always about a single human family. Cain's story is more than a tale of murder and exile. His journey east of Eden is a symbol of spiritual separation from God. His wife's choice to join him marks the beginning of a new, self-reliant society. The city they build is a monument to human achievement, apart from God. Cain's descendants pioneer music, metalwork, and herding. Impressive, but rooted in alienation. The story contrasts the city of man with the city of God. Cain, his wife, and their city are archetypes of humanity's attempt to find meaning apart from the Creator. It's a powerful commentary on the human condition. Even in Cain's exile, God shows mercy. When Cain fears for his life, God marks him for protection. God allows Cain to have a wife, a family, and to build a city. This is grace, undeserved, but freely given. The existence of Cain's wife is a sign of God's patience and mercy, even for those far from him. The Bible's mysteries invite us to look deeper, not to doubt, but to discover. What seems like a contradiction often reveals a richer story. The gaps in the narrative are filled with meaning, not mistakes. Cain's story is a microcosm of humanity. Sin, exile, but also grace and hope. No one is beyond God's reach. Even in our wandering, God's mercy persists. The Bible's mysteries teach us about ourselves, and about the persistent grace of God. Sometimes, the answer is right where we least expect it, in the gaps.